Hello and welcome everybody. Welcome back to Environmental Science with Fabs. I just want to congratulate you guys on all making it through our first little third of a unit that we've covered so far on resource management. You all have done wonderful. Excellent job following along with these videos, taking your notes, going through and completing your quiz. Excellent job. You all did very, very well. So today we are going to start off with our next PowerPoint unit in the resource management unit, and that is going to be on soil and agriculture. Remember the last one we looked kind of at the forest management and tragedy of the commons, prescribed burns. This time we're digging a little bit deeper into soil as well as agricultural management. So without further ado, let me bring that up to you guys and kind of show you exactly what we're going to be looking at here. So we're going to be covering slides 1 through 10 in this video. Let me kind of bring on a spotlight here. Okay, so we're going to be covering slides 1 through 10 in this video. So without further ado, well, let's get started. Okay, guys? All right, here we go. So resource management, soil, and agriculture. So what exactly are we looking at here? Well, we're talking about anything that has to do with our soil usage, mainly agriculture, trying to look at, trying to look at how we can maintain that soil, maybe putting more minerals back into it, nutrients back in, whether that be through a artificial way with fertilizers or a natural way using natural fertilizers such as manure. So let's get on with what we're looking at here. This is just a very quick little case study about GM organisms, genetically modified. Not too much really here. If you want, you could watch the video. However, I'm not going to waste too much time on it. You can copy in what you need to copy in, but we can kind of move on this one pretty quickly. So lesson 12.1, soil. So what the 12.1 means is that in your book, it's actually chapter 12.1. So what I've done is I've taken different parts of the book and put them together, you know, how they fit best when we go and teach this and when we learn this. So in case you're wondering what 12.1 is, that's in the book. And in case you want to find this in the book, which I will be having you guys do some reading and look at some worksheets, it will be from chapter 12 for this specific part today that we're going over. So about 38% of Earth's land surface is used for agriculture. When you think about it, that's not really that much. I mean, a little less than 40%. When you think about how much or how many fruits and vegetables we eat, and also with regard to all the animals that we need to feed with fruits and vegetables, okay? Because then we go ahead and eat those animals. So 40%, less than 40% is really not that much, okay? So looking at this, now again, 12.3, so we could jump from 12.1 and 12.2 and 12.1 and 12.3 in the book. Here you'll find a YouTube link. I will link this up at the end of the video. Don't have to worry about it now. You can watch it at the very end. So humans have been practicing agriculture for roughly 10,000 years, and that really began with the Chinese, and they just began to throw seeds out, and they noticed that those seeds actually began to grow. And they found that they could harvest and grow wheat, and they made it so they can actually stay in one area. Okay, they didn't have to follow the herd anymore. They didn't have to follow their food anymore. They can actually hunker down, stay in one area, and consistently grow crops. Beginning of agriculture. People were hunter-gatherers through most of human history until agriculture was developed around 10,000 years ago. Can you imagine that? 10,000 years ago, they were growing plants just like we are today. And you guys can see, you know, there's sunflower growth, corn and squash growth, potato growth, sorghum. That is actually a grain that I use a lot. It comes in like a little bag. It's a small little hard grain. Tastes very good. Here's coffee, right? Wheat. You all are familiar with wheat and rice. And the bananas down in New Guinea. So again, another YouTube video. I will link that up as well at the end. So it's amazing how many different areas actually started growing crops and doing the same thing. Even though they were in completely different areas, they were doing the same thing at roughly the same time, okay? So selective breeding and settlement. In early agriculture, people began planting seeds from plants they liked most. And this is a form of selective breeding. So think back when we did the artificial dog lab, right? You guys made your own dogs. We talked about two types of breeding. We talked about like natural breeding or natural selection, as well as selective or artificial breeding. And we said the selective or artificial breeding, that was more along the lines of, we tried to emphasize certain traits that we liked, whether it was a longer tail or longer ears, or maybe a dog that was more aggressive, maybe a dog that was taller, or a dog that was shorter. We tried to breed and emphasize those characteristics, those traits. The same thing goes along with plants, right? If you have a plant and then you gather seeds, let's just say for easy numbers, you gather 5 seeds. And you plant those 5 seeds the next year and you get 5 new plants. Those plants will not necessarily be mimics of the parent plant. They all might be slightly different. So then what you do as someone who's growing these plants, you're going to look and you're going to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, I like the way 2 and 4 grow. So forget about 1, 3, and 5. I'm going to let those die. I'm not going to take seeds from them. But I really like 2 and 4. So what I'm going to do is maybe I'm going to take the seeds from now 2 and 4 and I'm going to grow those. Okay. So let me see if I can actually do something for you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a stop share. Whoa, now I'm on the big screen. We are going to do a regular screen share. I should still be here. You guys should still be able to see everything. And what we are going to do is pause you for 1 second and bring you back in just a little bit. Enjoy this commercial break. And we are back, and hopefully you guys are seeing a different screen right now. I want to explain this a little bit to you and what it was looking like, what I was talking about. So let's say you have plant 1, plant 2, plant 3, plant 4, and plant 5. And plant 1 is kind of stringy. Maybe it's got 2 leaves and it's got this bud there. Plant 2 is really strong, right? It's got a bud there, it's got a bud there, it's got a bud there, it's got a bunch of leaves, right? That's doing pretty good. Plant 3 is just this little sad plant. Plant 4 is pretty strong, but plant 4 actually grows off, right? It's not as big as plant number 2, but it's got this like weird kind of like 3 growth, which is kind of cool because it gives us some more stuff, right? And then plant 5, well, that didn't even grow. So what we're going to do as these, mid-century growers, we're not going to take the seeds from 1. We're not going to take the seeds from 2, and we are not going to take the seeds from 3, and we're not going to take the seeds from 5. What we want to do instead is we're going to take the seeds from 2, and we're going to take the seeds from 4, and we are going to selectively breed those seeds in hopes that maybe these 2 guys will give us the super plant. We'll call him plant 2, 4. And he's going to be so strong. He's going to have all of these plants that come off, right? And he's going to have all of these fruits that we get. So this is selective breeding. Okay, guys, this is what selective breeding is. So hopefully you can kind of see this. We're doing it without even knowing. I mean, you don't want to take the seeds from a weak plant. Wouldn't do you any good. You want the strongest plant you can. So let's get back to the PowerPoint, and I will see you in just a second. And we are back. So selective breeding and settlement. So we just talked about that. First one, we talked about how we selectively breed. Crop cultivation enabled people to settle permanently. This is what I was talking about before. No longer do we have to chase our food. We actually have the ability to stop and grow, all right, year after year, and make those crops stronger, better, okay, and produce more. And then agricultural and livestock provided a stable food supply, which allowed for the development of modern civilization. So not only were we staying in one place growing our own food, but we were actually staying in one place and raising cattle, raising meat, right? Pigs and cattle and other things that you raise, chickens, right? So we were growing the food not only for ourselves, but we were also growing the food to raise them, to feed ourselves even more. So really, agriculture taking off like this really paved the way for modern civilization. Let's keep moving on. We're almost there, guys. 4 more slides. Traditional agriculture. We see that agriculture was powered originally by animals, people and animals. You see from this picture right here, two horses pulling a hoe in the ground, and that is to tear up the ground, cultivate the ground. Doesn't require fossil fuels, and it was practiced widely until the Industrial Revolution. And you know that when the Industrial Revolution came about, what actually happened was that we transitioned over from living organisms, horses and oxen and cattle. They were the main sources of us doing work and pulling the cultivators or the seeders, and now we're going to tractors, okay? Take this time to show you guys my cool mug. It looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, right? It's a Pisa mug. It was gotten especially for me by my fiance when she went to Italy. It's kind of cool, right? So, pretty neat. So maybe I'll show you guys some more mugs as we transition through more of these PowerPoints here and there. So let's keep moving on. Sustainable agriculture. And what sustainable agriculture is, it's all about not depleting our soil. We talked about tragedy of the commons and trying not to overuse our resources, right? We didn't want to overuse. We talked about maximum sustainable yield. You want to pull out as much as you can without harming the habitat or harming the environment. Same thing here. We're just talking about soil now. We don't want to use up all of those minerals. We don't want to use up all the nutrients. Okay, we want to kind of return those nutrients back into the soil. We want to go easy, all right? So sustainable agriculture does not deplete soil faster than it forms. It does not reduce the amount of quality of the soil, the water, the genetic diversity, okay? Organic agriculture is sustainable agriculture that does not use synthetic chemicals. What we're trying to do is stay away from the man-made fertilizers. It's okay to use fertilizers, don't get me wrong. Horse poop, cow poop, pig poop, chicken poop. I mean, they all are varying degrees of importance and fertility, but those are natural fertilizers. Maybe taking your scraps from your dinner and like your vegetable scraps and throwing them back out into the soil and letting them break down. That's a wonderful way to refertilize your soil. This just means synthetic, that means man-made fertilizers. And then local and small-scale agriculture reduces the use of fossil fuels and chemicals used for transportation and storage. 2 more, guys, 2 more slides, and we are good. So here's another link right up here underneath my picture. I promise I will link that in the video at the very end, and I'll do this cool kind of pointing thing, and I guarantee they will all line up. Yeah. But until then, let's keep going. Industrialized agriculture, we just talked about this. This is the introduction of the tractor, of the combine, and that's what you see right there in that picture. That is a combine, and those things can stretch out with teeth that are huge, right? You got this tractor driving, and then they've got this giant row of teeth, and they can harvest corn, they can harvest wheat, they can harvest potatoes. Okay, they can go out 40, 50, 60, 70 feet wide and just make a path right down. This uses fossil fuels. We know that. We know that releases CO2 into the atmosphere. It involves mechanized farming technology, manufactured chemicals, large-scale irrigation. Bet you didn't think about that. Irrigation is also a tragedy of the commons, because think about where we're pulling that water from, these underground aquifers. And we're all using, at least in the Midwest, the same aquifer, the Ogala aquifer. And then finally, to be efficient, large areas are planted with a single crop, and we talked about those monocultures, right? And how good they could be if we're trying to harvest just one crop, but how bad they could be if a disease would spread through that crop. It'll spread like wildfire. And guys, the saddest point of the video comes to the very end, because we are done with this little video for today. And we'll finish up on the Green Revolution. The Green Revolution introduced new technology and crop varieties and farming practices to the world in the mid to late 1900s. Okay, the benefits were that it increased crop yields, which is great. We were farming more crops, and it saved millions of people from starvation. It prevented some deforestation and habitat loss by increasing yields on cultivated land, land that was already used. We didn't need to go in and deforest and clear cut other lands to use them as growth because we were raising our yields on land that we already had. And then finally, the bad part, the costs. It led to a 7,000% increase in energy usage, meaning we're using more fossil fuels now. We're producing more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. It worsened erosion. And think about from your last quiz, all about erosion, right? Those tree roots, the grass roots, the crop roots, right? Like your tomatoes, your potatoes, all of those roots, any plant roots go in and hold that soil together. The minerals and the nutrients all hold that soil together. And if we're using a lot more of them and maybe not replacing them, we're going to lead to erosion. We're going to lead to salinization. And what salinization is, besides being an amazingly fun word to say, salinization, say it with me, salinization. You got it. Salinization means an increase in the salt content of the soil. And that actually happens by watering too much. Okay, think about it. You water with fresh water. Fresh water really isn't 100% fresh. It does have some salt in it. I mean, think about it, right? When we drink water, we need a little bit of electrolytes. We need a little bit of salt in there to give to us. So, dealing with this, if you water too regularly and there's a lot of evaporation, the water will evaporate, but the salt will not. And you'll actually get a buildup of salt. Desertification, that's another one, right? Desertification, it means turning your land into a desert. So if you overuse your land, you will actually kill it and you'll turn it into a desert. Eutrophication is a fancy word for algae bloom. So what that means is when we have a lot of phosphates and nitrates, two of the main chemicals in fertilizers, when those get into the water, they can make the algae just go crazy and they start populating all over. Okay. And then finally, pollution. And I know you know what that is. So I'm going to link up these videos, play this video as long as you need. Make sure you get all your blanks filled in. Make sure you get all your notes taken, and play this video as long as you need. And we will, I will see you in the next video. So make sure you watch the videos at the end. They will be boom, there, and there. Actually, I'm still up in a small corner, so let me do that again. They will be there, and they might even be there, but I don't know. So, guys, have a great day. I will see you all on the next video, and make sure you guys stay safe, and make sure you're getting plenty of physical activity. Go outside in your yard, take a look around, enjoy the nice weather while we have it. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see y'all. Bye.